resident foreigners now exempted from forced vaccination. The government has announced that selected group of persons will be eligible to receive shots in the coming days.
COVID-19.
I'm a professional driver. The COVID-19 restrictions affected the transport industry.
Tonight, government will bring you details of a press conference organized by government at the Information Ministry. Also, fear grips residents of Inshaso in the Ashanti region as they are unable to go to their farms following the gruesome murder of a 15-year-old boy by a nomadic herdsman.
Today, to go to the farm, you don't know whether they have been hiding over there.
School has reopened, but who will send his child to come?
Plus, farmers in Afram Plains issue a one-week ultimatum to government to relocate nomadic herdsmen from the area following destruction of their crops. We'll bring you details on coming up in business.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta announces 20% cut in the budget ceilings of all the ministries, departments and agencies as part of expenditure containment measures for this year.
And later in the bulletin,
DSA and everything should be dissolved because we carry money when we see people benefit, then we come back.
That keeper in the outpost, which club was he playing? I mean, these local keepers that are on bench, they are far better than this keeper.
we have more as the Ministry of Youth and Sports calls for an emergency meeting with the Ghana Football Association on the matter. Plus, we build up to our live commentary of the upcoming game between Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau. You can join us with your views and comments via WhatsApp console at 055 1111 997. I'm Ernest Menu. Many thanks for joining us. Now, farmers at Inshaso in the Ashanti region say they are unable to go to their farms following the gruesome murder of a 15-year-old boy by a nomadic herdsman. Two children who witnessed the act have been sharing a chilling account of how the herdsman allegedly butchered their 15-year-old brother in front of them. The unidentified cattle herder, according to the children, accosted them at a water source and inflicted machete wounds on the boy, killing him instantly. Love FM's Erastus Saridonko was in the community and now reports.
Inshaso is a farming community with a long history of herdsmen cattle invasion of farms. But Monday's butchering of 15-year-old David Anaria has shocked the entire community. What was supposed to be a daily chore of fetching water with their elderly sibling turned bloody. So this is the water source for both the grazing cattle for the Fulani herdsmen and farmers who farm around this area. Now this is where the crime was allegedly committed. I have here the two children who have come back to the scene to pick their footwear, and they're going to tell us what actually happened.
No,
So he's showing me where the herdsman was seated, and he points to that tree over there. So at the point where he was about to, carry the gallon of water, which is still lying here, he said that the herdsman got up from his seat from there again and came back here. This time he drew his machete and came towards him. At this point, his brother was begging him to forgive him if he has done anything wrong. At this point, the herdsman was butchering the boy, and he says that he was shouting that people should come and rescue him.
entity and tam and yes sir Obaha okunu no na dwembone ba obeba yeso yemi no so.
So he tells me that they ran, and at a point in time, he told his brother that they should part ways so that they would not be caught. And so he took another 10, and the brother took another 10. He went home to tell his people. Their father, Anaria, is distraught.
The way I've suffered to raise this boy. He was supposed to write his final exams next year. The law should deal with these Fulani people.
The killing is raising fears of the return of herdsmen to the area.
In fact, not fear alone, panic. Panic, because you see, all people, all the people here, we are all farmers. This time we are gathering our crops, and they will come destroying them. Destroying them, even if you tell about it, don't do all. What is this? And then if we don't calm down, trouble. So we fear even today to go to the farm. We don't know whether they have been hiding over there.
School has reopened, but who will send his child to come? How do you know if the child will come back safely? We were expecting the police and military to be here today to offer protection and to drive these people away so we can go back to our normal duties.
Erastus Asari Donko with a chilling account of that story. Let's do some more. This Erastus joins us on the phone with some more. Erastus, we had the residents say that they are gripped with fear. They were expecting the police to be on the ground to assure them of their security. What can you tell us about the mood in the community now?
Is that of, you can see a panic-stricken people. In fact, this is a small village, and all of them are farmers. And you see their circumstance, living in man-hatched houses, living on what they produce from the field. In fact, at this point, they are gathering their maize, they are gathering what they've grown from the field. And they tell me stories that even when you have gathered the maize, some of these herdsmen will, direct the cattle to eat what you have gathered. And so with this incident, they are all scared. The last time we went there, they were gathered around, all of them, fearing to go back to the farms to gather their produce. And school has reopened as well, but the children are not coming to school because some of the parents tell me they are afraid to send their children out through the bushes, the only school in the area, because they might not come back safely.
And we still do not see police presence on the ground?
In fact, we saw two policemen, armed policemen that day in a police pickup. They were going round. They told us they've been going round talking to people to remain calm. And so in our presence, one Inspector Bwedi from Drobonsu Police, they were addressing the villagers one by one, telling them that if they have any grievances, they should report to the police. They should not take the law into their own hands. Aside that, there is no visible security in the area.
And what's the latest information you're picking up with regards to the suspects?
Well, so the three suspects, all nomadic herdsmen, were picked minutes after the incident. Soon as the boy informed the people, they picked them around the crime scene. Now, they are responding to treatment from the Agogo Presbyterian Hospital. But they tell me that though they were at the scene of the crime, they know nothing about this incident. We can take a listen to them.
Me man ko bush. Me firo. Me kita kwan no yakase. Kita kwan. Me fani krom kra.
I did not go to the bush that day. They arrested me on my way to another village. I was herding my cattle in the area and they came for me. They shot at me but missed, and they arrested me and started beating me. I thought the herd had destroyed their crops, and that is why they were beating me. I was close to the water source where a boy was killed, and they arrested me, started beating me, but I don't know anything about it.
So those are the suspects in the murder of the 15-year-old boy at Nshiaso in the Ashanti region, claiming that they do not know anything about the incident. But in a related development, farmers at the Mame Krobo town in the Kwewu Afram Plains South District of the Eastern region are giving government a one-week ultimatum to relocate nomadic herdsmen from the area. They're accusing the herdsmen of allowing their cattle to destroy their crops. Spokesperson for the Farmers Association, Frederick Nale, says they will be compelled to deal with the menace if authorities fail to act.
In view of the current situation, we, the members of Afram Plains Farmers Association, and on behalf of Nanano, wish to bring our plight to the attention of the general public, the Eastern Regional Minister, and all authorities concerned, and we further suggest to the appropriate authorities to take immediate steps to reoperationalize the fodder banks at Dogo Krom and Wawase in order to keep the cattle from destroying our farms and our farm produce. We further wish to make it categorically clear that we intend to take steps to protect and defend our lives and properties against the Fulani herdsmen and their destructive modus operandi with their cattle if authorities fail to take appropriate action to curb the Fulani unbridled destruction to our farms and farm produce.
And that's a spokesperson of the Farmers Association at Mame Krobo in the Central Afram Plains district of the Eastern region. Away from community and security stories, government's policy requiring Ghanaians and resident foreigners to be fully vaccinated or would be mandatorily vaccinated at the airport has been reviewed. Now, according to the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje, this policy change is as a result of further consultation. Dr. Kumar-Boaje, who provided update on the country's fight against the pandemic in Accra today, however, noted such persons will be offered vaccines on arrival, and if refused, the arriving passengers will have to go into mandatory quarantine for 7 days at their own cost.
The new guideline is that Ghanaians and resident foreigners who are partially vaccinated or unvaccinated are exempted from the requirement of full vaccination before traveling to Ghana. However, they'll be offered vaccination on arrival, and if they fail to take the vaccination offer, they go on mandatory quarantine for 7 days at their own cost. So what it means is that the issue of a Ghanaian being denied entry and a resident foreigner coming in because he's unvaccinated will be changed. But when you come in, you have to get vaccinated, failing which you take you go a mandatory 7-day quarantine. The other cases will be considered case by case. Those who are sick and they cannot get vaccinated, we continue giving exemption for those who come up with those problems and are exempted.
Kweku Asante was at this news conference. He joins us on the phone. Kweku, there are other reviews. So if you fail to take the vaccination or the vaccine, you'd have to stay in quarantine for some 7 days. But what happens if you test positive? How long will you stay in isolation?
Dennis, so if you test positive, and ordinarily in the past you will be spending 14 days in isolation. But per this new review that the Ghana Health Service has announced, if you test positive and you do not show symptoms, and for that reason you are isolating in your house, after 7 days, you can de-isolate. The other aspect is for those who are hospitalized. So if you're a person, you get COVID and you are hospitalized, you will be de-isolating after 10 days. And so these measures, which was usually 14 days, has now been reviewed to 7 days and 10 days respectively.
And to ensure that cases do not spread, we are going to enhance our home care management to ensure strict compliance with the home management protocols for all those who are eligible for admission. What it means is that we are currently doing some checklists to see those who test positive at the airport who can self-isolate. If you meet that criteria, you are allowed to go and isolate, but we are maintaining a strict program to make sure that you don't really break the quarantine or isolation policy. There's also the issue of de-isolation. Remember, we came up with the 14 days after WHO had given 10 days as the duration for de-isolation. We looked at our own local data and came up with 14 days. So which means that if you test positive today, you are not sick, you're just mildly sick, you are able to manage at home, within 7 days, you'll be able to return back to work because first, you are not infectious and you are also fit to work.
And Kweku, there's been an announcement today on booster shots. I have been vaccinated and I'm interested in taking another shot. Do I qualify?
So for now, the booster shots in Ghana will only apply to people who work in health facilities, healthcare workers, persons with underlying medical conditions, persons who are 60 years and above, frontline security officials, as well as members in the executive, judiciary, and legislature. These are the persons who are eligible according to the Ghana Health Service.
The booster also policy has been approved, as was announced by the minister. We don't just look at it. We have a National Immunization Technical Advisory Committee who looks at international and local data and come up with the recommendations for minister's approval. Based on that, booster will be offered to all health workers. Will be given booster. And the booster is 3 to 6 months after your last vaccination. So that means that if you had your last dose, say in March, you'll be eligible for a booster dose between 3 to 6 months. Not immediately you've had that. And so that will affect all health workers, persons with underlying medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, persons 60 years and above, frontline security personnel, and members of the executive, judiciary, and legislature. It actually mirrors the initial prioritization that was done.
And Kweku, one final thing, another major announcement that was made today. Pregnant women, we understand, can now go for the vaccines. But we know that the concern has been about how safe this is for them. Did the Ghana Health Service provide an explanation?
So when vaccination started globally, one of the biggest issues was whether or not pregnant women could be vaccinated. Scientists have been trying to do some research. According to the Ghana Health Service, they have now concluded that it is safe for pregnant women to vaccinate. And they are going to use Moderna and Pfizer because of the kind of research that they have done into those specific vaccines for pregnant women. And they are assuring that nothing is going to happen to the pregnant woman or the baby that is yet unborn. Let's listen to the GES boss.
Pregnant women who are unvaccinated will now be offered, can now be vaccinated. Previously, it was not policy to vaccinate them. Now they can be vaccinated. And they are recommending that we use either Moderna or Pfizer, which is the mRNA technology, to vaccinate them.
So that's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boakye. Let me bring you some other story away from health. And just so you know, from the 1st of July, you'll no longer be able to undertake certain financial transactions without your Ghana card. This is the latest directive from the Bank of Ghana, which says that it is taking steps pursuant to Regulation 7 of the National Identity Register to ensure that all financial transactions performed within the ecosystem are linked to one identity and information and unique codes for the transactions shared with the Bank of Ghana to facilitate the identification of beneficiaries for track and trace purposes. Henceforth, banks, non-bank financial institutions, institutions' mobile money operators are required to update their systems to capture the Ghana card details of their customers. Let's speak to Dr. Joseph France. He is the head of Financial Stability Department of the Bank of Ghana. He joins us on the line. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. Now, apart from moves to enhance financial intelligence, what more reasons is accounting for this latest directive?
Thank you very much. Obviously, the Bank of Ghana will champion activities that will promote the safety and soundness and stability of financial system, in addition to its core mandate of price stability. Well, but we have other stakeholders who also be interested in an activity of this nature. The GRA will be interested in the activities that will promote revenue mobilization. The Financial Intelligence Center will also be more interested in intelligence. But the Bank of Ghana, like I said, will lawfully promote any activity that will promote financial stability and efficient payment systems, in addition to its core mandate of price stability.
And so, just for purposes of clarity, the other ID cards which are in use now, like the passport, the voter's card, will not find space in any transaction at all?
Well, after the 6 months grace period, which we think is enough time for owners to be tied, we think that when it comes to financial transactions, the Ghana card, as stipulated in the LI, will be the only card or identity card that will be accepted or used for transactions, financial transactions.
So your deadline remains July, and I'm wondering if that is enough time, especially for the non-financial institutions. You may have seen the challenges already with securing the national identification card for the telcos, even with the registration of SIM cards, and that has played out quite strongly. You think that it is still good time for these institutions and the individuals to prepare for this new move?
Well, we have assessed the situation, and we think that 6 months should be enough time. However, it's not cast in stone. We will continue to monitor, and if, of course, it turns out that it's not workable, why not? But we think that the 6 month grace period is enough time for all the stakeholders, those who matter in ensuring that this thing work out very well, who put their head together and make sure that it works out perfectly.
So is there a plan for sensitization?
Oh, of course, yes. Sensitization started long before this period, and we'll continue to sensitize the public.
I'm grateful that you could join us. That's Dr. Joseph France. He's the head of Financial Stability Department at the Bank of Ghana. And that takes us to business with George Yafe. George, you have the Ghana card?
Of course, I have more details on it, and also be getting you more details on the finance minister announcing a 20% cut across all sectors in terms of budget ceiling as part of their expenditure containment measures for the various sectors in the economy.
That's interesting.
It's interesting because it means that you should tighten your belt. They are not only pushing for revenue, but also taking some steps to cut expenditure. As well. And also the commercial banks have welcome moves to use the Ghana card as the only form of identification from July 1, insisting it presents some huge benefits to them when it comes to extension of loans and also weeding out impersonation in the banking sector. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, and Alliance Life. Let's now settle for the details. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has announced that government is implementing other measures to deal with the revenue mobilization challenge for this year. This will include some further cuts in expenditure ceiling announced for the various ministries, departments, and agencies. The minister has been given more details at a news conference in Accra.
Accordance with Section 20 of the Public Financial Management Act, the quarterly expenditure ceilings of the approved budget will include up to a 20% downward adjustment beginning in the first quarter of 2022 in commitments across board for all covered entities benefiting from the 2022 budget, subject to revenue performance. This means that our fiscal consolidation addenda is not going to be only revenue-led, but also expenditure-focused. In addition to the e-levy, we are committed to the implementation of other revenue measures, including the exemption bill, property taxes, internally generated funds, etc.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, commercial banks have welcomed moves to use the Ghana card as the only form of identification for financial transactions from July 1. The Bank of Ghana today announced that from July 1, the Ghana card will be the only form of carrying out financial transactions in terms of identifying the potential customer and existing customer going forward from July 1, 2022. Let's hear from the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Johnny Wells, been talking about what this will mean for the banking sector.
I've been in discussions with the NIA and their partners since middle of last year on the implementation of the project that will enable banks to use Ghana card as the only source of identifying customers for banking transaction purposes. So to that extent, work has already been ongoing for minimum of 5 months. And I can say on record that some banks have even gone through the entire implementation process already and are just in the middle of procurement activity for devices. So to that extent, I would say the industry is well informed and that we have a standing committee that is working with NIA and their partners, making sure that the rollout and the integration work that is ongoing is seamless and customers are not inconvenienced when we enter into implementation phase. That is where customers will be asked only to use Ghana card as the form of identification for banking transactions.
Johnny Wells, Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Bankers. Now, market leader Gold has announced an increase in prices of petroleum products at pumps effective today by some 3%. The oil marketing firm is selling a litre of diesel and petrol at 6 Ghana cedis, 85 pesos, from the old price of 6 Ghana cedis, 65 pesos. Now, this is in line with the 2-week review of prices of petroleum products at the pump. The increment by Gold may push other oil marketing firms, that will maybe the over 100 firms, to also increase their prices by this margin. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is still making a strong case for the removal of some taxes on petroleum products. Let's hear from Duncan Amoah. He is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber.
We cannot continue to make excuses that reducing taxes will be a temporal. But who says slapping them is also temporal? When you slap them, they remain a permanent fixture. So when you reduce them, it also becomes a permanent fixture on pricing. And that is what I think a wider section of Ghanaians have been calling for. We are still mindful of the fact that Ghanaians are still being asked to pay 5 pesos every litre for marking, fuel marking. At a time like this when prices are simply going beyond our pockets, that has got to go. Again, the increases that the NPA in recent past did, one of it being the bust margins that has shot up by 200% from 3 pesos to 9, would need to be reviewed immediately, simply because we cannot continue to hope the OMCs will be magnanimous to us and continue to throw away their margins, whilst we continue to selfishly increase these levies that the NPA sometimes slaps on fuel.
Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah. And that's all for business on Newsnet. And maybe if you drive to any Gold station, it's been selling at 6 Ghana cedis, 85 pesos. And that's the market leader.
Thank you very much, George, for bringing us business. And many are disappointed in the Black Stars following their exit from the AFCON.
Disappointment is an understatement.
It is. And for those of us who thought we were cautiously optimistic, we realized that we were actually very much invested in this yesterday. I mean, it was totally heartbreaking.
We are waiting for the World Cup qualifiers.
And there are calls for a total overhaul.
No, I don't think we need it. I think that it's all about the commitment. I think that we need a different coach. The mentality, the posturing, I don't think is good. The boys just need to be a little bit committed to it. I think that we still have the players out there.
Well, we'll be hearing from Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo on this, but some of you have been sharing with us your disappointment with the Black Stars.
DSA and everything should be dissolved because we carry money, go and waste it, people benefit, then we come back.
Take a critical look at the Black Stars since 2009. We were always suffering from what we call Akakakra syndrome. I think what Ghana actually needs to do is the whole land needs to be purified, actually. We need to purify the whole land because Ghana actually is suffering from every sector. It is not only about Black Stars. 10 years ago, and 31st night, I prophesied at the church that this is what Kwame Nkrumah said. Until we go back to Kwame Nkrumah, tell Kwame Nkrumah what we have done against you. Until we do that, there is nothing. If you like, let's have the Macy's in Ghana. The next AFCON that we will be playing, Ghana will not be able to qualify. That keeper in the outpost, which club was he playing? What is his team? I mean, these local keepers that they are on bench, they are far better than this keeper. I mean, saving some critical ball or something like that. Any ball that comes on, this guy is panicking in the pool. I mean, who's managing him? All because he has some big boys inside the team. So they have to, by all means, they have to keep him on the pool for us to I mean, so see, this is the last goal. The ball is in the mud now, taking the first pool. Just useless the pool. Useless, nothing good, nothing but. He shouldn't come here. The keeper alone shouldn't come here. We don't need him here. He should go back to where he's from.
I bet you, if things don't change administratively in Ghana football, 30 years from now, we'll sing the same song. Take my word for it.
You know, I think that the amount of money that we are putting or we are investing in the Black Stars should be turning into agriculture. In other words, if we have invested just chunk of money into the agriculture, this hardship that we are all experiencing would not have been just harsh.
You see, from all sectors of our life, when you talk of education, when you talk of health, when you talk of roads, everywhere we have failed. So I don't know what we are doing as a country. Every day we have problems and we don't know how to solve it.
My problem is that this country, we need deliverance. The problem we have in this country is so much. Sometimes I sit down and say, this country, do we have a vision now?
So obviously, many of you disappointed there and giving suggestions on what we could actually use our monies for. Well, a former president of the GFA, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, is calling for a dissolution of the Black Stars. He spoke on the Super Morning Show.
It's quite clear that where we've reached now, we need strong hands to handle these boys. And the first step I think we should take is to dissolve entirely the entire Black Star team. That's the first point. Look for a new competent coach, a coach who should be paid properly by the state, a coach who should be given free hand to do his selection and put together a group of young people with passion, young people with energy, young people with anger to win, young people with no age sitting. See, you look at what is happening in the world. No one goes his or her money and we just like that. This is state money. With the performance that we saw, not just from our boys, but the general work that we saw in Cameroon, will tell any good footballer or football manager that going to the World Cup will be a waste of time. So the best thing is that money to be channeled into the new group that is to be put together, and that will benefit the state more. Some of them definitely are good footballers that definitely can be used to form the new clubs. Now, most of the boys who came from the foreign countries to play are either second division
or third defection.
Well, we'll delve into that shortly with Gary Al Smith, who will be joining us all the way from, Yaoundé. But we are seeing a statement from the Ghana Football Association calling for an emergency meeting on this development. Maxwell, you have details of the statement. What does it say?
Well, it says the entire country is extremely disappointed by the abysmal performance and early exit of the Black Stars from the ongoing 2021 African Cup of Nations in Cameroon, and the Ministry of Youth and Sports shares in this in the nation's sentiment. It says with the government providing the team all the needed logistical and financial support, including resources for preparation and participation in the qualifier stage to the tournament and eventually a pre-tournament campaign in Qatar. The ministry is particularly disappointed with the team's performance. The ministry has summoned the Ghana Football Association leadership to an emergency meeting scheduled for Friday, 21st January 2022 to urgently discuss and take decisions aimed at salvaging the performance of the Black Stars, especially in the next set of games. It concludes by saying that the Ministry of Youth and Sports is committed to taking urgent steps to ensure that the Black Stars is restored to its status as a symbol of national pride for all Ghanaians and a powerhouse of African football.
Thank you very much, Maxwell, for bringing us those details. Let's go all the way to Cameroon and speak to Joy Sports editor Gary Al Smith. Gary, you heard Nyao Tamaklo describe some of the players as structural players. In fact, he says they shouldn't be there in the first place and is calling for a dissolution of the team. You think it's the way to go?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, Gary.
I don't know about structural players. I'm not sure if it's demonstration to Ashaman or it's non-probi to Polygon. But yeah, obviously, I think that anybody who has watched the competition would agree with Doctor that some of the players don't need to be there. However, he was also quick, as you noted, because I listened to the show this morning, that there is a very promising core that should be kept, and that's been my argument. You know, there's this very Ghanaian tendency to throw the baby out with the bathwater, especially at the under, 17, 23, and 20s and so on. Hopefully, whatever direction in which we are going will not throw the years of scouting work that we have paid for as Ghanaians through the work Kwesi Appiah has done, Siki Akono has done, and giving us this crop of players out. Remember, Milovan was brought for one purpose and one purpose only: to hone and to essentially be the final step in a process of scouting that started with Kwesi Appiah's second stint. Okay. So dissolving the Black Stars, I don't think is the way to go. I don't know, maybe I don't get the way he used the word dissolve, because what I know dissolve means is that, you are completely breaking down everything, which includes the kind of players we have at the moment. I would say that the causes of the Black Stars problems are well known and they have been well enumerated. Player interference, it's a huge issue in the Black Stars. And if it wasn't for player selection interference, we wouldn't have had this problem that we had in here in Cameroon. Okay?
But we have the World Cup qualifiers coming up in March. Looking at the quality we have now, the strength of the team now, and the elements that are playing right now, do you sincerely think that this team will pull through, Gary?
Why not? I mean, I thought that at the time that Milovan was brought, it wasn't too soon to have a decent AFCON and then be ready for that World Cup qualifier. Because this team that we saw, you saw how they played yesterday. If, for example, all things had gone well and they had played similarly against Morocco and Gabon, I really don't think we wouldn't have been ready. Now that we are all over the place in terms of who the coach is, I'm not sure, but I am quite confident that because we really don't have players anywhere. That's the other thing. We really don't have any players anywhere in terms of talented players, particularly experienced players, particularly.
Yeah.
We have a lot of youthful players around. Our experienced players to, be the spine of the team are very, very few. So where are you going to get those experienced players from? Is it Asamoah Gyan, who has clearly said he's not interested in not even Black Stars? He's not even interested in the football anymore. Who are you going to bring back? Even Jonathan Mensah, yesterday we interviewed him. He mentioned
Can you believe it? He's playing his 5th Africa Cup of Nations. He started so young,
Wow.
and he's experienced. Daniel Amati. So where are you going to get those experience players from? No matter what we do right now, MF, we are going to get a batch of very, very, very young players. We need to be honest with ourselves and say that we have to be patient, because the fact is that our national team is very young right now. We cannot get great things out of them, that they may qualify for the World Cup. I want to go for the World Cup too. We need to be patient with them no matter what happens. And that is the point that I really need Ghanaians, to understand. Based on that, we can have honest conversations about not expecting the world from them, and so on and so forth.
Well, Gary, there's an emergency meeting called by the Ministry of Youth and Sports on this issue, as well as the Football Association. Let's see what happens from then. Let's see what the outcome of that meeting will be, what decision will be taken, and what will be the fate of the Black Stars. That's our show for tonight. Many thanks for your company. Ore Kwampofu and the rest of the team will bring you commentary in the upcoming game between Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau. Please stay with us.